The history of zombies in film is murky at best. Technically speaking, zombies were around during the golden age of horror cinema in the 30s with 1932's White Zombie starring Dracula himself, Bela Lugosi. There's also I Walked with a Zombie from 1943. In both films, however, these zombies take on more Haitian voodoo roots. But these interpretations differ greatly from the zombies you know and love. Zombies found in Zombieland, Walking Dead, and Shaun of the Dead are what we consider modern zombies. Now, it's debatable when and who created the modern zombie. Some say that it was George Romaro in 1968. Others claim that it was Richard Matheson with his 1954 novel, I Am Legend, which was adapted into film a few times with The Last Man on Earth in 64, The Omega Man in 71, and of course, I Am Legend from 2007. No matter where the modern zombie comes from, there's no doubt George Romaro is the greatest influence to the subgenre. Night of the Living Dead slingshotted the modern zombie into pop culture, and he surpassed himself again in 1978 with Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead was so popular that it sparked others to imitate and get inspired by it. The 80s was filled with these zombie films. Some from Italy, some from the States. There were so many good and classic films that honestly it's hard to keep track of them all. Long before the explosion of 80s zombie flicks, long before the Italians gorified it, and even long before George Romaro perfected the genre he helped create, a little talked about film graced the world. 1974's Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, also known as Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, and also known as Don't Open the Window. Being overlooked and underappreciated for years, it's finally time for me to check this one out. Welcome to the HellBound Horror Show. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie starts with George, who works in an antique shop, who closes down the shop for the holiday. While traveling on his motorbike, he stops at a gas station and... oops! A lady accidentally backs into his motorbike with her car. This is Edna, and she's so tired and delirious from driving all this time. Luckily, the gas station has a garage and they can fix up his bike, but it's gonna take all weekend. So George tells Edna that she's gonna take him where he needs to go so they can work on his bike. And oh, by the way, he's driving. Well, now we have our two leads. Edna is traveling to her sister's place and makes George drive her there, but they end up getting lost. George decides to ask a farmer for directions. The farmer has a new experimental machine that uses ultrasonic radiation to kill the insects. Life forms with low-end nervous systems like insects become aggressive and kill each other off. It doesn't affect humans though, because an adult's nervous system is way too complex for it to affect. The science is a little bit mumbo-jumbo, but we get the setup. While George is getting directions, a soaking wet man stalks Edna at the car, and she rushes to George for help. The man has disappeared, but Edna explains what he looked like, and it sounds like she's describing the guy who just drowned himself in that very river just a few days ago. Meanwhile, Edna's sister and her husband have a run-in with a soaking wet zombie, and the sister's husband is murdered. Luckily, George and Edna arrive just in time to save the sister. Cops are called, but they think George, Edna, and the sister are the murderers. The cops are so frustrating in this movie, and they may end up being the biggest villains of all. The sister has a panic attack and is sent to the local hospital. It's here that we discover some hostile babies. All the hostile, murderous babies were born near the river. A baby would have a less advanced nervous system than a living adult, so they could be affected by the ultrasonic radiation. Interesting. It's silly, but it's cool. George and Edna decide to go to the cemetery to find the grave of the drowned man, but when they search out the cask, they find it empty. Through the blood of the infected, other recently dead bodies rise from the grave and begin to haunt our leads. The setup is pretty typical for a zombie flick. Dead rise from the grave, kill the living, eat their flesh, heroes are trapped, there's conflict with human characters. It's all you would want, but it also tries to go above and beyond by trying to explain some of the story bits, and the story bits are solid. Yeah, the science is a bit far-fetched, but characters are great, set pieces are wonderful, story-wise, it really excels. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie is also shot exceptionally well. This is a beautiful film. The landscapes are gorgeous, cinematography is interesting and well thought out. I also love the sound design. There's not a lot in terms of score, but there is a rhythmic drum that will raise your blood pressure. The film also coats itself with hoarse, labored breathing. This is creepy and I love it. The atmosphere created by the sound design and cinematography is top tier. It's really brooding stuff. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie is also known for being a video nasty. There's some great gore here, especially for the time, 1974. There's not a lot of it, but some of it is just as good as Lucio Fulci's Zombie. This is a Spanish film, and the English dub can be a bit distracting for those who aren't used to that sort of thing. Doesn't bother me though. This review is a long time coming. I've wanted to watch this movie for a while now, but it sat on my watch list for years like most movies tend to do. It wasn't until King Gore's message during a live stream that finally sparked my interest and gave me the push that I needed to finally see this one. King Gore asked, which is better, The Beyond or Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue? I love this question. Now, not having seen Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, the obvious thought was The Beyond. It's a Fulci classic that deals with Lovecraftian ideas and zombies. It's one of my favorite Fulci films. Not many movies can compete with The Beyond. But after seeing Living Dead at Manchester Morgue and sleeping on it, I honestly think it might beat out The Beyond. Like, I can't understate how surprised and how impressed I am with Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. This movie is incredibly tight, fluid and to the point, while The Beyond is a bit more dreamlike and out there. The imagery in The Beyond is unbeatable, but Let Sleeping Corpses Lie is definitely the better zombie flick by a mile. The zombies in The Beyond feel more like an afterthought, but overall, oh goodness, it's close and my opinion's gonna change from day to day, but I think I like Let Sleeping Corpses Lie a tiny bit more. King Gore, thank you so much for that amazing head scratcher. It was a great question. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, King Gore is a YouTube creator and his channel is phenomenal. He does amazing work. He reviews some truly effed up stuff. He also makes his own music. My favorite series of his is a deep dive into the Halloween franchise. It's great stuff. The definitive way to get Let Sleeping Corpses Lie is the Blu-ray from Synapse Films, but oh my goodness, it's expensive. I'm sorry, but I'm never gonna pay $50 for just one movie. I get it that it's a special edition, but their standard edition isn't much better, sitting at $35. I have the Blue Underground DVD, and that suits me just fine. Maybe if the Synapse one goes on sale, I'll consider upgrading, but for now, I'm one happy camper. So yeah, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, aka Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, is a fantastically overlooked and sadly underappreciated zombie flick. This was before Dawn of the Dead, and honestly, I think it does a lot of things better than Dawn of the Dead. So definitely check it out if you like zombie flicks. And that's all I have for tonight, so thank you so much for watching, and stay spooky, everyone. Yo, gold star for making it to the end of the video. Let me know what your favorite zombie film is in the comments down below, and go check out King Gore's channel. Thanks, bye.